In this project, we're doing a little bit of a shop upgrade. So I've got a table, a work table, where we assemble all of our LED signs, and it is an absolute mess. And so there is stuff all over my table always, and it's so frustrating when we're trying to work and we have all this stuff all over our table, but we need a place to put stuff. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a little organizational hutch for the top of my work table. And when you see my work table, you're going to understand why we need this really, really bad. So let's talk about the pieces and parts we're going to need. This is all made out of fence picket material, and these are 5.5-inch wide boards. And so we need 4 pieces that make up our side, and these are 32 3/8. And then we need 6 pieces that are 38 inches long. That just happens to fit my table. And then we need 3 pieces. These pieces are going to make up the back of the hutch. These are going to make up the sides. And these pieces are ripped to 4.5 inches width. There's 3 of them, and they are 42 inches long. Okay. And then over here we have some cleats. We have some different size cleats. We have 2.5-inch cleats. Then we have 2-inch cleats, and then we have 1 7/8 cleats. Okay, and I'll explain why we have all these different size cleats. Now there may be a little bit more. I'm kind of building this on the fly. I built similar hutches, so there may be a couple more parts that I'm not thinking about right at the moment, but this will get us a good share of the way. So the first thing to do is maybe set aside our top pieces here. Let's put our sides together using our 2.5-inch and 1 7/8 cleats. We'll talk about where those cleats need to be. So we'll do that first, and then we can move on from there. Okay, so here is the 2 sides of our hutch, and these 2 cleats are 2.5 inches, and this one's 1 7/8. And we come up from the bottom to the top of this cleat at 8 inches. From the bottom to the top of this cleat, 19 3/4. Now you may be asking yourself, why are we using 2.5-inch cleats here and 1 7/8 cleats here? And there's good reason for that. But I hate to tell you what that reason is right now. But when we put it together, you'll understand why we opted to go that route. All right, so that takes care of our 2 sides. Now we're going to put our 2 sides together with our 38-inch wide boards. And what we're going to do here, it's going to wind up being the perfect height. You'll see when we put this together, the reason that we used 32 3/8, kind of an oddball size, but there is good reason for that. So I'll put it together here real quick, and then I'll explain in more detail what's going on here. You can kind of see what we got going here. We've got a couple of boards in place. We are using some glue and some 1 1/4 staples to hold this together right now. I'll go ahead and finish putting on the rest of our boards. So we use 4 staples per board. And you can see that it overhangs a little bit here off the bottom, but it's supposed to, and I'll explain why here momentarily. So that's what it looks like now. We've got all our boards put on in the back, and now we are going to put on what I call our little feet. I'll explain how to do that. So I cut 2 pieces that are 12.5 inches long. You can see I put a little 45-degree chamfer on the front edge there, and then we're going to attach those to the bottom of our cabinet. You can see we have our feet in place now, and you can see that they're nice and flush here. So I just centered them, some wood glue, I got some 1 1/4 staples holding these feet on. Now we can set up our cabinet upright and work on the front of the unit. So we cut some 37-inch boards and then put in our shelves, and now we are going to put in our little trim piece up top, which that's going to be 2.5 inches wide, but it's going to be 38 inches wide, but 2.5 inches thick. And then this one's going to be 5.5 inches. And then the bottom one is going to be 2.5 again. All of them are going to be 38 inches long. So now you can kind of see what it looks like. So that 2.5 inch width down at the bottom, if we have an 1 7/8 cleat, a 5/8 inch thick shelf, that's 2.5 inches. And our cleat, we wanted it to be 2.5 inches. And up top here, we have this kind of like a bin. We've got a pretty good lip, about a 2-inch lip, and that's why we're using a full-size board. It's sitting flush with our cleat, our 2.5 inch cleat at the bottom. Now what I did do is I did go in and add some 1.5 by 1.5 blocks just to give that some strength. But I also did it underneath here, both shelves. So we have a little bit more to staple to as well. Keep those shelves nice and flat. All right, so now all we have left to do is make and put on our top. We added some glue, and now we're just going to staple on our top boards here with a 2-inch overhang. So there is our finished hutch with the top installed. Now this is not the table, but it just happened to be a table I had sitting around, and so you could put the hutch top on the table. So you can see it makes for a good looking piece. If you wanted to use it in your home, you certainly could. Like I say, we're gonna put it to work organizing some of our junk. So I'll show you, just for fun, I'll show you my table and why we had to make this. Well, you can see what I was talking about. How are you gonna get any work done like this? I mean, it is an absolute mess. So hopefully this new hutch will sit on there and get me all organized so it doesn't always look like this huge mess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get it set up, see what it looks like. So there you go. Took a little bit of time to get it all organized, but should increase production substantially because now we have a place for everything and not everything is piled up here on the table. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and thanks for watching.